Hey everybody, it's been a while. I'll say that much. It's definitely been a while. How are we all doing? How are we all doing? Anyways, today I'm tackling this bad boy. This, if you can't tell, is another Zelda tier list video. So I know I did one like what at the beginning of summer, but this summer I did my homework because I realized that video was shit. Right? I didn't know what I was talking about. I honestly just kind of made that video on a whim. But this is the real time. Okay, this is the real time to shine. So this summer, I played through about 4 Zelda games, or maybe 5. I think it was 5. I played through Minish Cap, 4 Swords on the Game Boy Advance, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, and Link's Awakening. And I kind of played Ocarina a little bit. But however, I'm still sorry to say that I have not played Triforce Heroes. But every game you see here, except for, where is it? Twilight Princess HD, I've played. I've played every single one of these. So I'm no longer a scrub. I've finally played Link Between Worlds, and we'll get to that in a second. So I guess the only one... Ooh, I don't know what happened there. I guess the only one to really talk about here is not played. And then make that gray. Okay. We'll put it there. So, things are going to be kind of similar, but also different, because Link's Awakening came out last Friday, and I played that game to death, and I'm probably going to speedrun it. I'm actually routing it. I'm going to do the first 2 dungeons category. There is a 3 dungeons category, but for my own sanity, I'm going to do 2 dungeons, and we'll see how it goes. But anyways, we're going to get into it. We're going to go chronologically best I can, because last time I did it, I kind of messed up. But anyways... The first, Legend of Zelda is a B tier. Now, I kind of talked about this before, but again, it's not really a playable game in 2019. You know, there was something different back in the day, because it was one of the coolest things to ever exist. But nowadays, I don't know, man. It's still a fine game, but again, it's not really playable without a guide. And all the secrets, it's like, how would I ever know this? And the game was really designed to be played over like 4 or 5 years, It was never really meant to be what a Zelda game is, which is a linear adventure. It was a non-linear adventure, which is what made it so appealing to so many people. And I like the game just fine. I've played through it about 3 times. And it's pretty good, honestly. But again, you need a guide, or you just need to know what you're doing. So, yeah. But being able to play through the game without looking up a guide was really fun, because I knew what I was doing. It was pretty great. Okay, Zelda 2, I'm going to put in a D tier. I hate Zelda 2 I wouldn't say with a passion, but I don't like what they were going for with this game, and I understand, like, it's the second game, like, what are they going to do? There was no really established formula yet, so it wasn't... I don't like Zelda 2 at all. Sorry, I just really don't. I think it's too difficult. I think the gameplay is anal beads, and it's just a big kerfuffle of nonsense, really. So, yeah, sorry, Zelda 2, and it's funny, right? I own Zelda 2 on NES, but I don't own Zelda 1. I don't know what's up with that, but whatever. Okay, Link to the Past, where is it? There it is, Link to the Past. That's an A tier. I think that's pretty easy. It's basically since Link to the Past, every Zelda game has followed the formula of that game, pretty much. We have the exceptions, of course, like Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, and Breath of the Wild. But pretty much since Link to the Past, every Zelda game follows the formula that Link to the Past set up. And I guess you could argue the Oracle games, but whatever. Yeah, so Link to the Past, true classic. I personally don't love it as much. I like it. I do really like it, but I don't love Link to the Past, so... I don't know. I don't know what it is with Link to the Past, but I'm not a huge, like, Link to the Past guy. And it's probably because I don't know. I never really played it. It wasn't one of the 2D Zeldas I played. The 2D Zeldas I played were Minish Cap, Link's Awakening, and, like, I guess you could count the Oracle games. Yeah, I'm gonna count those. I didn't play Link to the Past until like 7 years ago. Like, I played like the Oracle games and Link's Awakening when I was still kind of a newbie in the Nintendo lore of things, so I didn't really know that Link to the Past existed. And I really like a quote from Scott the Woz, but Smash 4 was the first Smash or Brawl was my first Smash game, but 4 was the first game where I knew what the fuck a Virtual Boy was. So that's kind of how I feel about Link to the Past. Like, it's hard going into it and trying to go with clear. Like, but I don't know. It's a fine game. It's good. It really defined a formula, and that's important. But next up, we got Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. Now, I was going to put the DX version on here instead of the original Game Boy version, but I kind of decided against it. But I think the original Link's Awakening, and I talked about this before, is really good. But it wasn't until the DX version that I think they really made things amazing, if that makes sense. But however, the story and the setting and everything about that game was just phenomenal to me, right? It's on the Game Boy, and it just captured my imagination. And then with the remake, which we'll get to in a minute, like, that imagination that I had came to life, and it worked. And I really think Link's Awakening is just one of the most amazing games ever created. Like, just from an idea standpoint, it's all a dream. It's brilliant, and I think it works really well on the Game Boy. And just that mystical magic of like this, it does. The game feels like a fever dream, especially if you've played other Zelda games, because it's just bizarre, and it really works. Only gripes really about the original. It's a little dated, it's a little cryptic. It's not always so clear what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go. And just some of the the limitations of the hardware. Only 2 buttons to be able to do stuff, so you're constantly switching in and out of the menu. And just little things like that. But overall, I still think it's phenomenal. I honestly think I even like it better than A Link to the Past personally. So that's where we're gonna put it. Next up, we have. I mean, it's fucking yeah. I talked about this before, but I still think Ocarina of Time is my favorite game of all time. Like, personally, I still think so. And I can't really explain why, other than the fact that I was able to enjoy the game as a child, right? As a kid. And then, as an adult-ish kind of older person, I still get so much enjoyment out of the game. The level design, the game design in general just fascinates me on a technical level. What the game is able to achieve. And now I'm about to say something. I'm about to make the hottest take I've done in a while. But since Ocarina of Time, I don't really think a Zelda game has ever fully captured or has ever done what Ocarina did. And I'm not trying to be like an elitist here, but I genuinely believe that, like, apart from like Majora's Mask and yeah, but like, Wind Waker kind of went away from the formula, but it still drew from it, right? And then, Twilight Princess was basically a reimagining, and I don't think it did it better than Ocarina. And then Skyward Sword, whatever Skyward Sword was trying to do, it didn't work. So I don't really think, since Ocarina has come out, that they've done it better, Personally. That's personal. I'm putting that out there. It's completely personal, so, yeah. I love the game. I love the story. I love the dungeons. I love the items. I love everything about the game, honestly. The only gripes that I really have about the original, which, granted, you're probably looking at the remake, like, why don't you put... We'll talk about the remakes at the end of the video. But, yeah. The only gripe I really have is the item management. Like, yes, you have 3 buttons to use instead of, like, Link's Awakening's 2 or whatever. But it would have been nice if you could have used a bit more buttons. Like, if... I don't know. Granted, they didn't have enough room, necessarily, but... That's, like, one of my only gripes, is item management is kind of piss poor in the original. But that's fixed in the remake, and again, we'll get to the remake. But... And I know the game runs like shit on, like, everything except for, like, Wii Virtual Console and the GameCube. Even though the GameCube version on, like, a speedrunning level is really bad. But the N64 version has not held up very well at all. but I think the best way to play the game probably is Wii Virtual Console or the Wii like version of the ROM, and playing that on Dolphin. So there's that. And yeah, it's a great game. I wholeheartedly love it, and it should be on the Switch. I don't know why it's not, but I'm sure they're cooking up something. Okay, next up is Majora's Mask, and this is the original. And I'm about to lose all of my subscribers. Yeah, okay. Hear me out. On paper, Majora's Mask is brilliant. Truly. I genuinely think that, right? I think what Majora's Mask set out to do was so ambitious. They had, what, an 18-month dev cycle? Insane to think about. Not even 2 years to work on the game. And, you know, it utilized the expansion pack for more RAM, and it was able to look better than Ocarina of Time. But I think its limitations are also its downfall. I talked about this before, but you know, the 3DS remake, it fixed a lot of things, but it also just didn't touch most things, and it kind of made things worse. But I still think a from the ground up remake of Majora's Mask is 100% necessary, more than Ocarina of Time, because, and how do I say this? I still think that, you know, Majora's Mask has some of the best characters in the whole NPCs in the whole series. It has just some of the best quests, side quests, and everything. It's a phenomenal game, but I hate the 3-day system. Just hate it. I wish that Nintendo, and I get it. It's because they were time constrained, and it's honestly brilliant. But again, it's on paper kind of thing. But in execution, when I'm sitting down and playing it and trying to enjoy the game, it gets frustrating, and I understand that's the point. But it just, I feel like for me, it really holds it back from being great. And we'll talk about the remake in a bit. But yeah, yeah. Majora's Mask is good. It's definitely good. It's great even. But I don't know, man. The original N64 version just kind of leaves me a little disappointed. But oh well. Okay. What do we got next chronologically? Isn't it the Oracle games? I think it's the Oracle games. Oh boy. Time to talk about those. Okay, so I played through these most recently. Or not most recently, but recently. I played in July and August. So I played both Ages and Seasons, right? Are you ready for this? So many people, when they talk about these games, treat them like the same game, and they're really not. Seasons is the action adventure focused game. Ages is the puzzle, cerebral, story focused game. And I'm gonna have to say that Ages, its story may not be great, but there's something about Ages that I enjoyed more, and maybe it's the gimmick. Maybe time is a much more interesting gimmick than the Seasons, like what? But there's something about Ages, man. Yeah. So, oops. Sorry, Spirit Tracks. I didn't mean to put you in not played. But yeah, so I'm doing this. When I really thought about it, again, it's a hardware thing. So it's hard. The handheld games are really hard to talk about compared to Link to the Past, right? Or even like the original Zelda. Like the NES was technically more powerful than the Game Boy, but you still got NES style games on anyways. But yeah, Ages, great game. And I'd love to see a remaster of both of them. I don't think it'll ever happen because of Capcom. But man, what I would do to get those games remastered, it wouldn't be too pretty, but I'd love to see it. And I don't think it'll happen, but having both of them remastered and like to properly like make the gimmick of them being interconnected games, or you know what I mean, like Pokemon basically, and make it better, you know, stuff like that, and have your save actually transfer over properly, and because it would be on one cartridge, assumingly, if they did it on Switch, so that wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Ages as the better game, just because I enjoyed it more personally, and I think it had better dungeons and maybe better boss fights. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing with those two games. Okay. What's next? Is it Wind Waker? Okay. So I also replayed a bit of Wind Waker. I didn't play through the whole thing, but I touched it. I played through like the first 3 dungeons. I went up to, let's see, Forsaken Fortress, or Forest. I played up to Dragon, whatever the second dungeon is. I played through that one. That I can never remember the name of it. Wind? No, that's not Wind. The Forest Temple? It's not the Forest Temple. Whatever, that one. The one with the Deku Leaf. That is the second dungeon, right? Yeah, that's the second dungeon. Wow, brain fart. So, okay. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Now, before I had Wind Waker in an S tier, right? Now, sorry, okay, the more I'm thinking about ages, I'm doing that. We're doing that. How's that? That's good. Okay. But yeah, Wind Waker. How do I say it? There's a lot of little tiny things with Wind Waker, and I think the remake fixed most of them. So we'll talk about it later. Again, we'll get to the remakes, but you know, Wind Waker was the first 3D Zelda game after Majora's Mask, but it was also like the first one with a full development time. It's adorable. I love it. It's a huge giant adventure in the ocean, and it's great. And I think it has the best Ganon boss fight out of the entire. Yeah, it has the best Ganon boss fight in the entire series. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I talk about Wind Waker a lot, but it's a bigger game than Ocarina of Time, like in scope, but it's less focused as a result, and that's why I think I like Ocarina better. Ocarina just has a flow, you know. Pacing in a game, I think, is also important to remember, and just the way that Wind Waker like flip flops between like weird. It's hard, right? There's like 3 sections of Wind Waker. The beginning, like after like the first dungeon, like Dragon Roost, and then you have the middle, and then the Triforce Hunt, and then the end, right? It's like it's just not paced as well as Ocarina of Time. So yeah, that's just me. Wind Waker's still really great though. Don't get me wrong. Okay, what's next? Is it Minish Cap? Or no, it's like Four Swords Adventure. Four Swords Adventure is still a C tier. I don't think it's really all that great. And this one as well. I'll just put them both there. Both the Four Sword games, don't really like them. Sorry, I just don't. Oh well. It's a great idea that they kind of tried to do with Triforce Heroes, and again, I haven't played Triforce Heroes, so I really can't say anything, but from what I hear, it just doesn't really work all that well. It's fun for an afternoon, maybe, but I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So is Minish Cap next? Minish Cap was one of the games I played through this summer, but it's not summer anymore. Anyways, Minish Cap, I think, is a pretty solid B tier game. Now, this one gets a lot of love. It really does, which is awesome. I'm glad it does. But how do I word this? I think Minish Cap has a lot of wasted potential. I like the gimmick. The story's pretty good. But there's something about it that just, I don't know, it doesn't click as well as other games did. Maybe it's because it's a Capcom game. It does feel very similar to Ages and Seasons, but it feels kind of like the culmination of the two, like from a gameplay perspective. But at the same time, I don't know, there's something about Minish Cap. It doesn't sit too 100% well with me, which, oh well. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. It's a great game, don't get me wrong. I just think it's weird that they did a game like this, you know, in the Wind Waker style. And it's a sequel to Wind Waker, technically. Isn't it? No, it's a prequel to, excuse me. Yeah, it's a prequel. It's weird. It was technically the earliest game in the timeline for a while. So that was weird. But yeah, I don't know. Minish Cap's like a good B tier, I think. Man, we still have so many more games to go. Where are we? Twilight Princess. Okay. Whew. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh man, I gotta take a drink for this one. Okay. Are you ready for this take again? I did this. I made this take before, earlier in the summer, but I still don't think Twilight Princess is that good. Still, it's funny because I think I might like Majora better than it. Okay, here's my thing with Twilight Princess. Remember when I was talking about pacing? Twilight Princess has the worst. No, I can't say the worst pacing, but it has really bad pacing for a Zelda game. It's so damn slow in almost every part of the game. And every fucking time you have to become Wolf Link and go into the goddamn Twilight Realm, it's fucking worse. And I'm getting angry thinking about it, but I don't know, man. The game, it's like that close to being awesome. But there's so many just, not even tiny things. There's so many things that I'm just like, ugh. Like, it makes me a little upset. But, there's a huge but. About a little over halfway through the game, it gets really good. Like, it gets awesome. It's great. Like, pretty much once you get the Master Sword, the game gets really good. Because you have Arbiter's Grounds, the fucking mansion. That's the best thing ever. I love the mansion dungeon. It's probably my favorite dungeon in the game, even though Arbiter's Grounds exists. And Hyrule Castle's a dungeon in this game, and it has such a good boss fight. I think it has the second best next to Wind Waker for the final boss. And yeah, it's great. Really, really good, like, ending. The latter half of Twilight Princess is really good. But when you're trying to do the Fused Shadow stuff, not a fan. And the story's really good, honestly. I think the story's probably one of the better ones. If it wasn't so goddamn slow. And from what I remember, too, it's one of the longer Zelda games. I'm going to have to look at the end of this video, but, yeah, Twilight Princess doesn't sit well with me, and I wish it did, and I am dying for Nintendo to port the remake, or not the remake, the remaster, or whatever, onto the Switch. Because I own a Wii U, and I could buy it on the Wii U, but I don't really want to play it on the Wii U. I'm ready to play it on the Switch. So I'm hoping they do that, because I want to like Twilight Princess really badly, but I just don't. So, but I have to put it in B tier because I like the ending of the game so much. Okay, I think, yeah, we got the DS games. Okay, so I'm still kind of mixed on these, honestly. I think they're better than the original. Man, the original is such a weird game to talk about, but yeah. I've talked about these. They're basically the same game, but one has a boat and one has a train. And I know that's kind of a weird criticism, but they're very similar. They had a pretty similar dev cycles, but I like Phantom Hourglass slightly better, but I think Spirit Tracks is also better, in a weird way. But I like Phantom Hourglass better. I like the aesthetic, I like the theme, I like the story better in Phantom Hourglass than in Spirit Tracks. So that's kind of why I'm putting Phantom Hourglass over Spirit Tracks, even though I think Spirit Tracks may be the better game. But again, this is all a personal list, so I think Phantom Hourglass is better than Spirit Tracks. Okay, what's next? Is it Ocarina 3D? I said we'll do the remakes last. Okay, so that means we got this one. Okay. Skyward Sword, I think, is a fundamentally bad game. Like, fundamentally flawed. Not bad. Fundamentally flawed game. And being the first real, like, anniversary title game, God, it was disappointing. You know, they'd never really done that with the series before. I don't think so, right? I mean, Breath of the Wild was delayed, so it couldn't have been one. It was almost an anniversary game. But it was the 30th, I think. For the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest series in gaming, I just think Skyward Sword is disappointing. Genuinely. Like, man, I wish it was good. And this isn't just a thing where it's kind of like Twilight Princess where you could tweak it a little bit and it's a great game. I even think if they port Skyward Sword to the Switch, you know, at some point, if they do, I don't know if that's going to help it. because it's just so bogged down in the motion controls. And, you know, you have the Joy-Cons, which means it would be basically a Joy-Con required game, which is fine. I just don't like swinging my arms around when playing a video game. I just don't. But I have to commend the story, because the story is phenomenal. It's probably the best story in the entire franchise. No, it is the best story in the entire franchise. But it's the gameplay is horrendous. And the only dungeon I really like is the sand ship, because it's the most creative and unique. But like everything else, the collecting heart pieces, everything else just felt like a chore, and a game should never feel like a chore. And I hated the Silent Realm and going back and forth all the time. Oh man. I don't know, see, I just don't think a remaster would fix the problems with Skyward Sword. It'd be like remaking, what's a good example? It'd be like remaking Connected Ventures. Like, yeah, the motion controls are going to be better, but I still don't think that's going to fix everything, right? So, yeah. It's hard. Also, I had a thought. The left Joy-Con doesn't have gyro in it, does it? So, only the right one does. So then, this couldn't be used. I don't know how they'd do a remake. Honestly, don't know. Maybe you'd have to put, like... You know what you'd maybe have to do? The game would probably come with, like, something to put on the Joy-Con for gyro, maybe. I don't know how they'd do it, honestly. I don't want to think about it. But yeah, I love the story in Skyward Sword, and it's why I replay it when I replay it, if I replay it. It's also way too easy, and I know why they did it, because, you know, it's the first one with motion controls, and hopefully, thank God, the only one. I just don't like that you start out with 6 hearts, and, again, I don't know what it is with Twilight Princess and fucking Skyward Sword's beginnings being 70 hours long. At least Wind Waker, you know, Wind Waker kind of had a slow beginning, but it still got you into the, you know, you got your sword really quick, you got, into the Forsaken Fortress kind of quick, so the action stuff happened. Didn't take 70 years to fucking get a sword like in Twilight Princess or whatever. Yeah. And that's probably why I like Link's Awakening so much, which we'll get to. But, I just like games where, boom, you're going, it's going, you're good. There's no 20-minute cutscene. But at the same time, I do really appreciate games like that. I fucking love Persona 5, and the entire game is a cutscene. But I love it. So, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, anyways, I'm done talking about Skyward Sword. Okay, time to talk about Breath of the Wild. Okay, I really thought about this, right? Okay. I really thought about this. And as I was going through the list here, I think it's time. What color is it? Pink. We're making it pink. Oh no, I wanted to make that one pink. Make that one pink. Good. And then what was this? Yellow? Oh no, it was red. Okay. So the more I've been thinking about it, this is what I want to do. And I'll explain my reasoning. Okay. Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game. But over time, I have liked the game less and less. But that doesn't mean I hate it, okay? That means I've realized its flaws, and I think its flaws have lowered the game for me. You know, I used to think it was top tier, top 5 maybe. And I still think it maybe is top 5 Zelda, but it's not a Zelda game. It's not traditional. Its story is what story? It's a gameplay game, and that's awesome. I love that, and I do love it. I love exploring and everything. But, you know, there's a point when you realize that the game could have been so much more, which is why I'm heavily looking forward to the sequel, man. Hopefully they're able to refine what they did with Breath of the Wild. And again, I have the game in fucking S tier. The same goddamn tier I had Ocarina of Time in. So, it's not like I hate the game, okay? I don't hate the game. It's just, It has little tiny little, but I still think it's phenomenal. I literally I bought the game day one on Wii U, and I bought the fucking expansion thing, and then when I got my Switch, I bought the game again and the expansion. So I spent what, $160 on the game. I don't hate the game. I love it, honestly. In fact, I might honestly go and play it after this video, but Link's Awakening exists. So yeah, that's a little bit of a rant out of the way. I don't know. People that bow down to Breath of the Wild as like the greatest thing ever made, I just don't really understand it because it has flaws. But then again, I love Ocarina of Time and it has flaws. So whatever, everything's subjective, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we're going to move on. Oh, I didn't talk about something. Oh, God. We skipped over something important. But yeah. Breath of the Wild, I love you, but there we go. And so that's why I'm putting Ocarina in S+ tier, because again, no game since has ever really captured what it did, you know? And so I just think it's super top tier for me. So I'm gonna do double S instead of S+ because it looks better. Okay. Okay, I skipped over Link Between Worlds, and I'm sorry. But it kind of is fitting because I didn't play Link Between Worlds until this year. Link Between Worlds is what every 2D Zelda game since, like, Minish Cap? No, since the Oracle games has tried to be. No, since Link's Awakening. But, okay, I don't really know how to say this, but it's like... Okay, if Link to the Past is Halo 1, you know, or it's the quaint little great game that everyone loves, then Link Between Worlds is Halo 2, the big badass older brother. So, yeah, I'm not going to delay it anymore. But fucking hell, I'm so glad I played through that game this summer. It is so damn good. It's non-linear as all get out. You can basically do any dungeon in any order. The items are amazing, so creative and unique. The way that the items work is amazing, and how you get you have like Tom Nook kind of Animal Crossing debt kind of stuff. And yeah, it's really good. I wish I bought the game digitally, and I wish I didn't. I wish I had bought the physical version because the game deserves it that much. It's so good. If you have not played Link Between Worlds, it's probably the best game on the 3DS. Please go out and buy it and play it. Please. Please. You will not regret it. If you are on the fence about it because you don't know if you'll like it, please do everything in your power to do it. I beat the game in like 20 hours in basically one sitting. It was 2, but you know. I went to bed. You know, I played through hours of the game. I beat like 6 dungeons. I went to bed, I woke up, and I beat the game. It fucking amazing. I love it so much. And it probably was my favorite 2D Zelda game until, you know, recently, which we'll get to. We'll get to it, I know. Okay. But yeah, Link Between Worlds, so good, man. I love it. Just the dynamic between the two, it did it better than pretty much any Zelda game has ever done. Did it better than Link to the Past. It did it better than fucking Twilight shitting Princess. It did it better than yeah, okay, it did it better than Ocarina, but you know, Link Between Worlds, man, it's the big badass older brother of Link to the Past, and it's so good. And if they port it onto the Switch, oh man, I'm buying that. I'm buying the collector's edition. Okay. I need to slow down. Okay, we're gonna talk about the remasters / remakes now. And this is where things get interesting. So, you know, I have Ocarina of Time in SS tier, right? I've kind of been like doing this. Anyways, yeah. So Ocarina of Time 3D is slightly better than the original. Just kidding. So I don't quite have it in my power to like do this. I just can't justify that, to be honest. So honestly, we're gonna just do this, but think about it, right? Ocarina of Time 3D fixed like the biggest issues with the original, which was the graphics, the frame rate, the sound, tiny little gameplay things, and dungeon weirdness. So yeah, and you know, the Ocarina of Time music's playing right now, and yeah, so I don't quite know if I want to do this though. So we're gonna keep it like this, okay? We're gonna keep it like this, but that's okay. Okay. What remake came out next? Oh, this one. This one's really good too. Wind Waker HD, I think, is leaps and bounds better than the original. And I'm usually a purist when it comes to the Zelda games, but I cannot deny that Wind Waker HD basically fixed everything. The only issue I have with Wind Waker HD is the graphics. Now, I love how it looks. Everything's amazing, looks awesome. But, and we'll get to this with Majora's Mask 3D, but just the tiny little lighting changes, tiny little mood changes, color changes, stuff like that, it changes the feel and the flow and the rhythm of the game. It's not as big of a deal as I think it is in Majora's Mask 3D, but there's enough of it in Wind Waker HD where it's like on the edge of being kind of weird. But yeah, and this Wind Waker HD is what made me realize that this thing is awesome. Okay, it's the little brother of these. Okay, oh god, I just turned my Switch on. No, I'm not playing Link's Awakening. Sorry. I love this thing, honestly. And it's probably one of my favorite little things Nintendo's ever made. It's great. And that game helped me realize it, and then Breath of the Wild elevated it. So, yeah. The Wii U's great. I love the Wii U. So, yeah, Wind Waker HD fixed everything. It made the sailing better. It fixed the Triforce Hunt, or I wouldn't say fixed, but it made the Triforce Hunt bearable. And it was better. It was better. And, oh, and the 50 dungeons, whatever that's called, what was it? The thing, the big rock head on Outset, you know, the dungeons, the 50 layer deep thing. They made that better, but at the same time they also nerfed it by making the reward weird, but and just all the little things that they did to Wind Waker HD. I think it's better, definitely better than the original, and it needs to be on the Switch, man. Just make a combo pack. Make it like $80, maybe a little more. No, make it $80. Put Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, and maybe some Amiibo, and boom, and I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Make sure it's both the games, though, please. Okay. All right. We're on to La Majora's Mask. Okay. I don't agree with what I just did. I thought about it, but I don't... Okay, that's what I'm doing. Man, Link's Awakening is really good. I think that's... Yeah, there we go. Okay. Majora's Mask 3D is definitely better than the original, but it also isn't as good as the original, and this is the same kind of thing with Wind Waker, but... And I just wish I liked the gimmick, man. I think that's really what it comes down to, is I don't love the gimmick. I love the characters, I love the side quests, I love the masks, but I just don't like the time limit thing. And I've never been able to get around it, which is fine. But yeah, Majora's Mask 3D was much more enjoyable for me than the original. And, yeah, it's great. Definitely a must-own on the 3DS. For sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Are you ready for this? Okay. Link's Awakening Remake for the Nintendo Switch 2019. Is the best 2D Zelda game. It is my favorite 2D Zelda game. It is probably even my fucking favorite Zelda game. I think it's really good. It's the most unique thing to ever exist on the planet. Yes, you still collect MacGuffins. That's what you do in every Zelda game. But I love it. And the remake made it so much better. My friend Gaborius, link to his channel down below. He described he's going to be playing through the game on hero mode on his channel, so definitely check that out. Link in the description. How do I say this? He says in his own words, Link's Awakening is a tight game, you know, and what he means by that is you can see the game design, and not in an obnoxious way, but like there's tiny, you get the Rock's Feather, you suddenly start to notice you can traverse the map and the world better and the dungeon better. You get the power bracelet, and you suddenly realize you can start to traverse and get around the map quicker. You get the hook shot and the Pegasus boots, and just everything builds on each other and has like a linear progression. And I think Link's Awakening has the best example of how items work in a Zelda game. Just everything builds on top of each other. And I played through the game twice since it came out. And I just love it so much. In fact, I'm probably gonna play it right now. I'm working on speedrun strats and stuff. So yeah, I think it's phenomenal what they did with the remake and what they did back in the fucking 90s. 93. The game design is great. Everything, the story is amazing. The characters are adorable and almost tangible. I'm not going to say they are, because they aren't. They're not Majora's Mask levels. But it's funny, right? Because you have A Link Between Worlds, right? Which completely went away from the formula, And I was talking about item progression and how that affects things. But, Link Between Worlds focused more on the gameplay, which is totally fine. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild. But, Link Between Worlds was like, yep, these games are fun, the dungeons are fun, let's make this a fun dungeon crawler action game. Whereas Link's Awakening is a puzzle story thing. I don't even know how to describe. It's awesome, and I adore it, and it's probably my game of the year. Resident Evil 2 Remake's up there still, though. But, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here today. Thank you very much for watching. Check out Gaborius. He's playing them video games. And I'll see you guys when I see you guys. And as always, have a good one.